everyone. Welcome back to Classical Pairings. We are doing some... Rob's already laughing at me here. So I'm gonna not do my normal introduction here because this is, first of all, a weird episode because we're doing another Zoom episode because of COVID-19 and the things we're forced to. I'm also good friends with Rob Funkhouser here, which means he's going to be probably just trying to make me laugh as much as he can during this whole thing. But we are going to get through this together. We have two fantastic guests who represent some really kind of cutting edge of Indianapolis cuisine and Indianapolis music. I'm very excited and very grateful that both of you have decided to take some time to chat with me today. We're going to be having some delicious food from Steele in just a little bit. Rob and I will be picking some music to go with it. Before we get to our questions, how about we just go ahead and have both of you introduce yourself. Rob, I'll just go ahead and have you go first.
Cool. My name is Rob Funkhouser. I'm a composer and performer here in town, among other things. Recently I just started as a resident artist for Big Car through their Artist in Public Life residency. So that will include not only performance when that comes back, but right now is taking the form of a lot of radio programming and recording.
Wonderful. All right, Erin.
All right, I'm Erin Gillum, the executive chef at Steele, which is downtown in the Le Méridien Hotel. Used to be the Canterbury Hotel, so super old building right next to St. Elmo's. Basically, I curated a menu last year, completely fresh, new concept, kind of tapas style, small, medium, large plates. And it's awesome. Like, it went really well, and it's all my food, which is super cool.
Well, that's wonderful. So what we do here in Classical Pairings is we try to bring a leader in the arts and a leader in the food or drink industry, get them to chat. We're going to taste some stuff. We've had to sort of pivot, obviously. I mean, our normal episodes, we would go and hang out in a bar for a few hours and talk. We can't really do that right now, but we decided that we wanted to do a couple episodes where we sort of checked in to see how the entrepreneurs and artists are doing around the city during the pandemic. This obviously sort of a grim topic to start with, but we want to be aware of what's happening, so we'll start there. Eventually, we'll get to the food and the fun stuff. I guess we'll start. I'll start again with you, Rob, if that's all right. Thinking about
yeah, sure.
How has your experience as an artist changed? I realize that's a gigantically huge question, and it's been months. I don't even know if you remember pre-pandemic.
You know what? Like, well, I mean, I do have faint memories of times when things were fun, but no, truly, like, it was something that I was set up. And I think a lot of my peers were set up to have a really, really amazing year this year. Especially like the classical music community and people that I knew in experimental music as well. We were starting to like rethink how we were presenting performances, and I was a part of a series of events, like 4 or 5 events last year that were all super unique and different, and either just like as an audience member or a presenter or a performer. And I was super optimistic about this year. And it was all predicated on the fact that we were about to change the standard of like what we could do in public in Indianapolis. And then it's like, well, that went out the window. So, sorry, I just knocked my cable here. But I've definitely spent the last few months rethinking not only who I am as a musician, but who I am as a creative person in general. So I've branched out into a lot of other projects. I've been writing more, like text, and I've started this residency. So I bought a house in the middle of all this, which is a nightmare, by the way. And buying a house is a nightmare. Buying a house in the pandemic means that I don't get to make my friends move my shit. And so that's been interesting. It's been giving me a sense of normalcy, at least as far as stuff goes. Like I've felt very busy, even though in a time where that should not be how I've been feeling. But for me, I'm starting to get back to recording. I'm starting to get back to composition. I'm pretty knee deep in a commission for Classical Music Indy right now. That's going to be part of a concert series later this year. And overall, I'm just sort of in this period where I'm being productive, but not in a way that has found a linear pathway like I had before. I thought I had a very clear trajectory of what I wanted out of this year, and I'm, it's a couple months later, and I'm still not sure what I want out of the rest of the year now.
Yeah. Erin, how about you? How have you been managing?
It's been horrible. absolutely horrible. We're still open. Spoken's still open. We do carry out, but a lot of that's because we're in the hotel. So we're still feeding. A lot of hotels in Indy have closed. So our occupancy has actually gone up, which is great compared to what it was at the beginning of everything. But I still do food for the guests and anyone that's doing carry out, but it's essentially just me in the kitchen and then my sous chef, but we run solo. So I work 5 days a week. He works 1, but that means we're doing I do the dishes, I do the prep, I do the deliveries, like upstairs. I do all of it, which is horrible. Like it's
I'm even more grateful that you're sitting down, that you're spending a couple hours hanging out with us here.
It's a very weird experience. And the worst thing about everything to me is I miss my team. And when you're in this business, like you spend more time with your employees than you do anyone in your entire life. So like that's my family. So not only am I still working, so I'm not actually seeing my family much because I don't want to like risk anything. But not only do I miss my family, I miss like my family that's been my family for the last 2 years that spoke. So it's not great. I don't get to, I still am coming up with some ideas for food, but it's not like I can order things in and spend the time in the kitchen and be creative because I can't waste any product. Like right now it's like anything that comes in has to be cooked and sold for something. So it's like I was trying to be positive in the beginning to, create new menu items. I was like, this is my time. Like I always complain that I don't have any time to be creative anymore and come up with a new item. And now I'm like, okay, so I have beans, I have rice, I have this. What can I do with this? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah. Rob mentioned, like, struggling with maintaining enthusiasm. So you're kind of feeling that too?
Absolutely. I'm actually really afraid when people come back because I need to be that person we're back, guys, let's do this, our family's back. But I'm drained because I am the one that's working all the time. And I'm just like, when people come back, how am I going to be like, let's do this? Because there's still all of these rules. We're wearing a mask in a kitchen that's 100 degrees, like.
I was going to ask about that, actually.
It's horrible. And I'll wear glasses a lot in the kitchen and then it fogs up and then splatter from saute pans. And I'm like, I can't see anything. I don't even know what's happening right now. So.
Oh man, okay, so I have a couple ideas. I haven't tried this on my own glasses, but I'm gonna try this later and I'll send you guys a message. I've thought about putting Rain-X on my glasses. Because it prevents fog. It'll just turn into little droplets and just fall down. It could help. I don't know if it's a great idea, but I'll try it on my own glasses before I recommend.
Yeah,
it could be horrible.
I'm going to go on the record that Classical Pairings is not recommending that people put Rain-X on their face. I would just like to say that's a Rob Funkhouser idea, not a Classical Music Indy idea.
For sure. But
that's
Erin,
the sort of creative energy we need, Rob.
Oh man,
Rob, who knows when concerts are going to start happening? But what would you do if it was, we're going to do concerts, but we need our artists in masks when possible? Which obviously like a wind player couldn't do, but what do you think about that?
I can speak to this a little bit. I've kind of been keeping my ear to the ground about like what talks are like for venues reopening, and like you've got people on both sides of it. You've got people who are just like, we're not going to reopen until people can feel safe. You've got other people who are like, oh yeah, we'll bring people into a mid-sized venue and they'll all stand 10 feet apart and it'll be fun. We'll all be in a perfect grid. And so like that, so part of it is, musicians in masks doesn't strike me as hugely, it strikes me as maybe difficult, but not, we're not running around in a hot kitchen. It doesn't strike me as like as physically encumbering. But one thing I will say is that I'm just more interested in presenting events that make sense and that like are gonna be memorable as something other than like our first like grab towards normalcy again. Like I think that there is an opportunity to present things in a way that's like creative and interesting and that will rely a lot on outdoor events for the foreseeable future. I don't know once it gets cold this year if we may have like a brief period of some accessible outdoor concerts, but then, once it's that again, I mean, I don't know what their plans are to do that. And I So wearing the mask to me doesn't seem that important. It's more about like making sure that we're presenting impactful things and not making a grab for nostalgia or normalcy that will ultimately feel hollow.
Yeah. When you were talking about everybody at a grid, I was picturing like a middle school dance. Everyone just like awkwardly looking at each other, like unable to do anything.
Exactly.
And those were super fun, so I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think though that like, I don't know, is there hope here of finding creative solutions that are going to make meaningful events or dining experiences, or am I just clinging to hope because it's easier?
I feel like we're eventually going to get something that's going to feel a little bit more normal or make us happy. I mean, right now already, patio season, everybody is like just running to patios because everyone feels safe outside still and whatnot. But also, I mean, 2 months without the people that aren't working, you know, or working from home, 2 months without really leaving your home unless you're going to the grocery store or whatever. That's a long time. And that it makes you crazy. Like I'm going crazy and I'm going to work. Like, so it's like one of those things like I think it's always going to be weird, but right now we're like clinging on to the first. So the first is this patio. Who has a patio? Who's open for it? The city shut down streets. Illinois shut down so we can actually have a patio because we usually don't. So it's like all of these things to make it feel normal, but nothing's ever really going to feel normal until people aren't worried about it anymore. And it's not a scare, and we're open normal because no one's sitting at any bars for the next like probably 2 months, and that's my favorite place to sit when I go eat. So
right,
like it's just weird, and service is slow. Like no one is gonna have fast service because every time you go to a table, you can't even greet the next table or tell them you'll be right back. You have to go immediately inside and wash your hands.
And you're at like way smaller staff inside then for that, like in the kitchen?
So we open for the first time for Friday and Saturday patio. Maybe 30 people could fit out there, 35 people spread out. And we have 2 servers, and I have 2 people in the kitchen, including myself. So I'm bringing food to the bar, so then they can take it out. So then that way I'm not crossing paths and going like constantly doing it. But if one of them's making a drink and the other one's talking to a table, and now I've got food that needs to go, and I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to go out there, but my food needs to go out there. So everything is just prolonged, and hopefully people will understand that your service, it's not anyone's fault, but you have to be understanding that these changes aren't fun. No one wants to do them, but it's for everyone's safety. So if you do want to get out of your house and sit on a patio and drink a barrel-aged old-fashioned from us, like, just hang with us that it might take a little bit longer. So
Rob, you were talking about some outdoor events. Do you think that they're going to feel anything like normal? I know several of the big ones have already been canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that anything's gonna feel totally normal. I think I would probably be tempted to lean into that. So I think I'm more interested. I'm less interested in like bands playing shows than like curating performances that are going to be pretty wild, you know, and lean into the environment a little more. And I don't rightly know what that looks like yet, but I'm certainly working on it.
No, I think that's an interesting idea, though. I mean, I think there is an opportunity. I mean, I've been to several shows. I've been to a couple of your shows that are about like the music integrating with the space. Like I've been to some, like one that you were involved with in Garfield Park and some others that were about how do we exist within the space that we live in. And now that the space that we live in has changed drastically because it is now an isolated, depressed space. Like everywhere you go, it is an isolated, depressed space other than like with, if you're lucky, like maybe 1 or 2 choice people, but like it is, but it's something that, I don't know if I'm wise enough to say this, but I do think that like there's a space for creatives and artists to help like everyday people sort of understand the severity and or like the situation that they're going through and maybe reframe it in a more creative way. I don't know if that's making sense.
I am not super excited for like the 1,000 string quartets that are going to come out about this.
Yeah.
Or like all the choir pieces, or like all of the. I'm like not super stoked for that stuff because it happens with every tragedy. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
but I
it's
think
like
you're
a
right. This might
tragedy-
be more music in space. I mean, thinking about
Yeah,
place
exactly. No,
could
yeah.
be really
I mean,
interesting.
yeah, I know the thing that I know. Okay, so one thing I don't want to commit to anything because I've got a few ideas, but I know that one thing that I'm
You don't want to give
pretty
them away.
right? But one thing I am pretty leaning heavily into this summer is going to be programming on WQRT, which is a radio station, and that way, and promoting these like low-powered radio station shows. Like I would promote like my biggest concert of the year. And be like, get your radio, find a radio, and sit down in a park and listen, and we'll all have this experience kind of together. Definitely, sort of not, also, but it will feel like it'll feel like something, and immediate and shared. That maybe we'll give 2 or 20 or 200. I don't rightly know, like some solace and feel like something is happening.
Yeah. I'm wondering. I wanted to bring Erin back into this. Do you think? So we're talking about these. Like trying to think how artists might respond to this situation by involving like music and space or something to think about our new reality. I mean, do you think that like the food arts, is that a thing people say? The food arts?
You're doing it right now.
Okay, I'm saying it. Okay, I'm sure other people have said it.
Culinary arts, maybe?
The culinary arts, that makes more sense, yeah. But anyway, do you think that there's creative opportunities there in like the restaurant world about creating feelings of community in times that community is so difficult to feel?
That's hard. I mean, in the restaurants are just, they're small. Everything is confined, and like I'm just watching a bunch of local places, Blue Bear, Turketti's, all kinds of places that aren't going. They didn't open their patio, and they don't plan on opening it until they feel that it is safe again for their own employees and for the staff or for the guests that come in and all this stuff. I feel like the way that we're going to show community or like reach out isn't going to be in the restaurant. It's going to be, I mean, I know a few people that are, you know, part of food banks, us donating things to people. Paying attention to that, doing the carry out, like what I was doing with doing like family meals. I don't do family meals. Like I do one little dish. Like it's about the plate, and I don't have a family at home, so I don't make family meals except my dogs. So I just think like the creativity side of it is more or less us trying to figure out how it can work for us as a business to try to just stay afloat, whatever we can do. I'm fortunate because I'm part of a hotel, so that helps us a lot. But I think more or less the community aspect is whatever the community can do for especially local places to reach out, get carry out. Like how many times do people do DoorDash a week? Like, you know, Uber Eats, all of that kind of stuff. Like people are constantly ordering out no matter what the conditions are. Go local. Like just do your local. That is the community, because if you can keep them afloat, they're gonna do the same thing back to you. When we can open up, it's gonna get crazy because everyone's gonna be so excited. But at the same time, like when this all happened, the first thing we did was put all of our produce on like a market, and it was, I mean, people were buying it for cheaper, buying my produce cheaper than I spent on it. But I didn't want it to go away. I didn't want it to be trash. Like I don't care. This avocado cost me $1. Take it for 50 cents. Just get it out of my kitchen because I can't get it. I can't cook it fast enough to get rid of it. So I think the community aspect is, it goes both ways. It's the community helping us stay afloat right now until we can open and then bring community back to you, because ultimately that's what it's all about for me. I cook so I can take food to people and put smiles on their faces and get them to try something they've never tried. Oh, I'm scared of curry, Try it. Just try it. And if you don't like it, we'll figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, this was awesome. I've never had anything. I know you've never had anything. That's why it's on my menu. Like, try it. So I think that it brings people together both ways. You know what I mean? And I think when it comes to community in the restaurant, it's going to take the community to help us first and keep supporting us with carry out, with anything, whatever we can do. Like, people buying gift cards and everything. Don't go in and use your gift card right now because that doesn't help us. But, but like just as much as you can, just support, because we're gonna do it right back at you, because that's what our life is all about, is bringing community together through food, because that's what how most people eat. Like everybody has a party, there's always food involved.
Yeah.
You brought up a couple of things I'm really interested in, Erin. One, and this is definitely a tangent we don't have to go too far into, but you've been mentioning ingredients and keeping really good track of what you're ordering and using. Do you think that this situation in general has led to decreased food waste at a restaurant level?
I think at a restaurant level, and like for us, I think yes. I think for the distribution side, no. When this all happened, Piazza Produce, I use them all the time. They were stocked, ready to go. And then all of a sudden we were like, I don't want anything. Like, I can't buy anything for you for 2 weeks, So it kept waste in my kitchen, because I love pickled everything. So we pickled every vegetable I could possibly pickle, because I was like, it's gonna last. And I put those on my bowls. They're great. So I was just like, pickled shishitos, pickled eggs, pickle it all, and we'll figure out what to do with it when we can. But we did a lot of that. And then I think the one thing with Piazza or your other distributors, they have opened it up to the public. And I know they sell their produce. So generally I'm buying 50-pound box or 50 count of Idaho potatoes. It's 50 pounds, it's 50 potatoes in it. Like, that would take me 3 months to go through right now, if that, like maybe even longer. So like Piazza's taking these things and breaking them down into buying them 5 at a time, stuff like that for locals, for people that want to go and buy it. So I think that's helping.
It sounds like maybe at the beginning of this process there were a few like creative, fun moments where like you were like, we're gonna pickle everything, and then. Like that to me like sounds like a fun afternoon that leads to like 4 boring like slog weeks of cooking, where you're just sort of like, okay, I made these decisions 4 weeks ago and I'm preparing these dishes. Is that, I know for me, I sort of thrive on a pretty chaotic like working method. Cooking has always felt pretty similar in the sense where it's like, sort of like if I have a lot of projects going, I'm sort of always delivering something. And so I'm always getting feedback on something, and food feels similarly, like where you get to like get feedback. But in your case, and this is also my case, because I haven't performed in like 3 months now, which sounds insane. So I don't know I don't know what I'm going to do for my first performance. I've been practicing, but I don't know how I'm going to be on stage.
So we're panicking in the kitchen. Myself and my sous chef, we worked together on Friday. First time I've worked with a human in my kitchen in 2 months. Like, I have my sales team, I have, people in the hotel, but not in the kitchen. So we were both joking the night before. I was like, I can't wait to work with you. I was like, I hope we don't burn each other, because we're not used to it anymore. We're used to running all of it on our own. So I think like I was really nervous, because I was like, we don't have really any staff because we don't know what it's going to be. If we get busy, we're screwed. Like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I'm worried. And I haven't, it's my menu and I created it, but I run the kitchen. So I'm not cooking these items every day. I created it and now my team does it and I'm doing other things. So I was like, do I remember how to make mushroom duxelles? Like, when was the last time I made those? And then I was like, okay, I got it. I totally got it. It's fine. Yeah. But it was very nerve-wracking at first, because it's the same thing you said. Like, you haven't performed in forever. Like, yeah, it's like riding a bike, but at the same time, those butterflies that I haven't had in forever were so strong on Friday. And I was like, why am I panicking? Like, we have 12 reservations. Like, and I'm panicking right now. So it's definitely, it's just weird.
Yeah, I know for me, like, somebody asked me about a recording session at like in the near future, and I was like, oh, what do you want me to do? And they're like, whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, no, like, I haven't done that in so long. I need you to send me like what I'm going to be working on. Because for me, a lot of my musical performances tend to like follow, like if you were to make a cooking analogy, it's almost like Iron Chef or like Master Chef, where they get like random ingredients. That's my performance practice. A lot of times I'll bring a random smattering of instruments and make something out of it. And
Often they're not instruments, by the way. Often they're like a cigar box and like a mixing bowl. Like you would call them instruments, but most people would not see them and say, there's instruments. Most people would say, there's some junk.
Yeah, I mean, I get to decide what an instrument is.
So maybe I'm just getting hungry, or maybe that was a good segue. But let's start thinking a little bit about what you've made for us here. So we ordered some carryout. Rob and I each have a dish in front of us. Do you also have it? By the way?
do. I put
You
it
do.
in a little
That's
fancy
great.
bowl.
Oh, yours looks a lot. Yours looks pretty.
I
Yeah,
should have
mine's
done
in there.
that.
Oh yeah, I just left mine in the thing.
Yeah,
I
left
just took
mine
a
in the
picture
thing.
of it too that I'll send. So so what's gonna happen here is Rob and I are gonna we're all gonna eat some of it. Rob and I are gonna pick a couple pieces of music that we think somehow pair with this. The idea being, next time you offer this specific dish, I don't even know the name of it yet. The next time you offer it, people can order it and then listen to whatever ridiculous music Rob or I comes up with to like sit at home and sit by yourself, like at your middle school dance, lonely, eating,
And
listening
Nick,
to music.
Nick, I want to be very clear.
Yeah.
I assume we're picking classical music.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, within the like art music. How about that?
Okay.
You know, because there would be some people who would go to your show and be like, "That's not classical music." But like, we're putting you in the
I was actually going the opposite direction, where I was like
pop country. Is that what you're thinking?
no, I was gonna go like folk. Honestly, like just because like this sort of represents my changed relationship to food, and it sounds like maybe Erin's changed relationship to cooking, where very pragmatic and less like highfalutin. But no, we'll stick to. I think I've got some ideas cooking.
Yeah.
But it will change based on what we're gonna eat. So
what is that? What do we have sitting here before us? Do you have your dish, Rob?
Yeah.
Do you have yours with you? Very good. Yeah. So tell us what we're looking at here, Erin. I'll send a picture to our producer to put on the video thing if people are watching this on YouTube.
So basically, I had mentioned I was doing one dish a night, and I turned into doing, I would call them a bowl, the bowl night. And sometimes it was rice, sometimes it's couscous, sometimes it doesn't, maybe it's a noodle bowl, it doesn't matter. But usually there's a lot of pickled ingredients on it, things like that, because that's what I have. I got lots. This one doesn't have it, but I really fell in love with this while I've been in quarantine. So this is a Mediterranean chicken, and I just changed I always change our items. I almost always have, salmon, chicken, steak, but I change how it's cooked or the setup for the seasons. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I want something light for the summer. I am really into dill right now and olives, so Mediterranean. And I don't come up with crazy names. I'm not creative when it comes to that. I'm just like, chicken. So this is called Mediterranean chicken.
Okay, very good.
So nothing fancy. But it is couscous, and it's your instant couscous, not Israeli. So it is a pasta, but it's super light and fluffy, which is awesome for the summer. I also love this to give to you guys because it is carry out, and it took a while to getting to it now.
Yeah.
It's still going to be delicious cold in room temperature. Like, it doesn't have to be piping hot. But you have a couscous that's got a lot of herbs, lemon zest, real fresh, real pungent for summer is the way I look at it.
Is this cilantro on it? Good, thank you.
No cilantro.
I'm one of the people that, just so, like, I explained it to you, just for the listeners, I'm one of that genetic disformity that cilantro tastes like dish soap.
Yes.
And so I asked politely to not have that.
I love cilantro, and it's in a lot of my food because I love Asian food too. But I went with this because I was like, no cilantro.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome. So you got your couscous on the bottom, and then the chicken. I'm not a huge fan of chicken because I think it's kind of bland unless you really marinate it in something. And I made a really simple, like, red wine vinaigrette in a way and marinated it overnight. And the chicken just absorbed the flavor so much. And I was like, wow, I think I like chicken again. Like, this is really good. So you've got your chicken on top, nice, just sliced.
Yeah.
The olives on there are Baldi olives, and they are salt cured. And I'm a salt fiend. I love salt. And these are my favorite olives in the world. They're Kalamatas, but it's the way that they're cured. And then you have marinated tomatoes, so you have a nice freshness. And once, tomatoes are going to be in season soon. With Indiana, we have a ton of them. So why not put that on there? Once summer hits, everybody has tomatoes everywhere. So that's what I wanted. And then you've got a grilled artichoke, keeping with that little Mediterranean feel. Light spinach in that, or spinach. There's feta cheese, and then a dill yogurt sauce. So kind of like a tzatziki in a way.
Yeah.
And then we take chickpeas and we fry them and toss them in a little seasoning. So then you get this nice crunch on top. So you got crunchy, you've got soft, you've got, fruity with the tomatoes. You've got, my big thing is hot and cold as well, which is why I love bowls, because you're gonna have hot elements on it, but then you have the cold elements like the olives and the feta and the yogurt. So there's just a lot going on, but they all complement each other. And I feel like I'm hot because it's really hot out and I got sunburn this weekend. So I just want just nice food that I could sit outside on my porch, enjoy my old fashioned, and enjoy a nice dish that's not like overwhelming. What do you guys think?
It's incredible. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sorry, we both have, I have a mouthful of food. It's delicious.
Yeah, I may actually hit you up for that chickpea recipe. I really like how you did those.
Yes.
Or you can just order it, Rob. That's the point.
Well, yeah, but I'm also cooking a lot.
This, by the way, we've been chatting about other things. This is delicious, by the way.
Thank you.
This is
Incredible.
It's such a fantastic mix of like fresh flavors and then salty flavors with the olives, and then the artichoke is amazing, and then that yogurt sauce. And you're totally right. This is at room temperature because we ordered this a couple hours ago to set this up, and
It's still safe.
It's perfect, and like this would be perfect to eat, like in a park in the sun. Like it doesn't matter that it's not hot.
Well, and one thing you could do with this is you could take all the ingredients, chop up the chicken, and take that yogurt, and you could make like a little couscous, like pasta salad almost with this.
Yeah.
With all the ingredients. So I don't want to eat it like this, but now I'm going to make it into like a little pasta-ish salad, and I'm going to go on a picnic tomorrow or go hiking, put it in a container, put it in your cooler, and take a spoon, it's easy to eat. It's just like, it's simple.
Rob, are you having any music thoughts, or maybe we can start with some adjectives? Is a fun way to do this, like fresh and obviously Mediterranean, but
Yeah.
crisp.
I was hesitating to go with the Mediterranean aspect, just because that feels weird to me.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Okay, it's like fresh and airy are definitely there for me. This dish kind of floats. Like the couscous is super light and nothing in it is terribly heavy. All right, Nick, here's where I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of something that's like mid-tempo, harmonically rich, but like sort of a piece that is punctuated by like small moments of excitement, but otherwise like fairly consonant territory.
Yeah, because it's like comforting and
yeah,
okay,
and serviceable, like something that I would be happy to listen to if I'm really concentrating on it, and also happy to put on in the background.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So it's very functional food. Like this food feels very functional, but it's also something that I think stands up to a concentrating like what flavors are going on type thing. Which is kind of this is a hard needle to thread now that I'm thinking about it. Part of me is thinking Arvo Pärt, but that feels too heavy.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. Arvo Pärt's probably my favorite composer, but he
one of mine too, but you know what I mean?
feel like we need to be more serious for that.
Okay.
Like
yeah, I agree. But that's sort of what I'm talking about in terms of level of complexity. Where it's like,
do you know what came to my mind?
Yeah.
And by the way, we're just riffing here. For some reason, Pulcinella came to mind.
Pulcinella. By? Or
Stravinsky,
is that the dude?
sorry.
Oh,
like neoclassical. Neoclassical ballet, because like this is you can almost say this is neoclassical cooking.
Sure.
And so what I mean is like that we're taking. There's obviously some very classical elements here. I mean, like a marinated chicken with marinated tomatoes and couscous, but then we're adding the like crispy chickpeas, the grilled artichoke. It was grilled.
Grilled artichoke, yep, and it's
grilled artichoke.
Marinated as well.
Also marinated, and
marinated.
it's delicious. That's all I really know about it.
Everything's either marinated or pickled.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the pickled. Like, so we're taking classical things, and then we're putting it through just a couple layers of modernizing but still keeping it within its classical form.
What if we get like one level?
You can go deeper.
I think I want to
Go
get
with
one level deeper, and because of the tomatoes that are definitely
Because
like
of the
a reference.
tomatoes, yeah. Go tomato deeper, Rob.
No, listen. Yeah, I'm trying to give this a good faith effort here. Okay, so the tomatoes being a reference, like what's in season in the region. What about Copeland?
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Maybe even Appalachian
Yeah,
Spring, because that's like
Yeah.
close to the time. It's not the exact time of year, but it's close, and it's some of that it borrows from Stravinsky's music, which was what made me think of it.
Yeah, but the problem with that is I feel like Copeland, we usually don't actually debate about these before they happen, but like Rob and I debate about things, so this is what we do. I'm worried, like the Copeland implies a down-home Americana to me that this does not.
Okay.
Like, this doesn't taste like apple pie and or fried chicken.
No, okay, that's fair, but
Maybe Ned Rorem?
whew.
Like
Yeah,
an Indiana composer?
Yeah,
I don't know what piece, though.
Yeah, I don't either. Oh man, that's a good idea though.
I guess I'm kind of thinking Rorem Symphony 3, which
Okay.
we're all going to listen here in a minute to a piece. So I guess what I'm doing, what I'm going to suggest here, Rob, is I'm going to take your American edit to my Pulcinella because I agree with it, but I want to remove some of the apple pie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's pretty astute. This is probably the
Okay.
most productive cooperative decision making that has ever happened between the two of us. I just want to point out.
I know. It's
We are
because we're
definitely
recording. And,
we're playing nice, because normally what it would
Yeah.
be, it would take 5 drinks to do this, and I would
Yes.
be yelling. Like I would just be
oh, I
yelling.
would too. I would too.
At this point, I would be like yelling at the top of my lungs about how you cannot remove the apple pie from
We're on our
America.
best behavior here.
Yeah.
I know
I
the
would-
first time that Chloe, my fiance, hung out with us, she thought we were mad at each other. And I was like, no, this is just how we talk. We just scream at each other about music.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah, I'm on board for this. And this is
Okay.
good because I have not heard this piece in a long time. So that's always
okay.
Just like I haven't had a meal cooked this well in a long time. Thank you, Erin.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's
It's
really
now
delicious.
on the menu, so order it whenever you want.
All right.
All right, so let's go ahead now and listen to Indiana native Ned Rorem's Third Symphony. We're going to be listening to the 5th movement of that. All right, so what did you all think of Ned Rorem's? What did you think of his Third Symphony, the 5th movement? As I mentioned, by the way, Rob, you're from Richmond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ned Rorem was also born in Richmond. Yeah, and probably one of our most famous classical lineages. But what did you guys think? I was looking for something kind of neoclassical, kind of comforting,
I think it was
kind
like,
of homey.
Tonally, it was like right where I wanted. It was also like a little fast, probably, but like I probably wouldn't like put this on to like sit and have a glass of wine, like I would with this fine dish we had. But overall, I think it hits a spot that I like. I think the density is there where it's like familiar elements, but being used in a really interesting way.
Okay, what did you think, Erin?
I actually really liked it. You guys are probably gonna laugh, and I hope this isn't a bad thing to say, but it reminded me of Fantasia.
Nice, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you remember the little cute mushroom family in Fantasia?
I don't think I
but
do.
it
I'm
was
sorry.
very like kind of like dainty and just like that little like upbeat type part. But I totally like. Of course, I'm a Disney freak.
Okay.
So as soon as like I have had that vision, it like worked because I do think this dish is like it's dainty, it's light, it's airy, and like you said, it's flowy, and it's simple. But then you get a pop from here or here. So like that music was kind of like that, and then you would get those little pops, and I envisioned the little mushrooms. But
okay, see, I wrote down brass equals olives. That was my big musicological analysis.
I'm gonna disagree.
I went to college for 12 years to tell you that.
Listen,
brass equals olives.
I'm gonna disagree, and maybe this is because I don't have a
of course
PhD.
you are.
Well, I think the artichoke was the big brass fanfare because it's like
No, the artichoke was the feta. Are you kidding me? No, that's not feta. I'm sorry. The artichoke was the percussion. That's what I meant to say. The artichoke was the percussion.
Absolutely not.
How not? How not?
There's olives and xylophones sprinkled throughout that movement. There is one big brass moment. Likewise, there's one artichoke to munch down on.
But I feel like the olive makes its presence known very like aggressively, just like the brass.
That's true.
Like when that olive's in your mouth. The artichoke can kind of just sort of sneak in there in the texture.
it's a creeper.
It's a creeper.
Yeah. Just like the swell of the brass.
So this is like the 15th episode of this show I've recorded, and this is the first time we've really disagreed, which I think is good. It's because I always do these episodes with people I don't know well enough for them to tell me, no, you're wrong. But that's a good thing.
And also,
Anyway,
I think you should order this dish. Any of you listening?
You absolutely should. It's delicious.
And I want you to. Why don't you write to Nick at Classical Music, like send something to Classical Music Indy, and vote on whether or not the brass more accurately represents the olives or the artichoke. And
That's awesome.
and later on, if anyone decides to do this, we will we'll do a follow-up episode, and we'll do like a 5-minute recap.
Erin, did you have a vote? Did you think brass equaled artichoke or olives?
I felt like it was more olives.
No, this is the sort of thing that we will be arguing about years from now, so it's fine. Everything's good.
Yeah, I mean, it could influence how I think, you guys are gonna be rethinking everything in life. We could do this for like the entrance exams at Butler.
Yeah,
like that
maybe.
would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Like here's something seemingly unrelated to music, and like
here's a salad. Like, tell me what you're hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have about hit our time. I want to thank you both so much. This has been a pleasure. This has been a wonderful break and some very delicious food. Please order some takeout from Spoken Steel or go dine in their patio. What's the name of the dish we had again? Just
Mediterranean chicken.
order the
Nothing fancy.
Mediterranean chicken. Listen to Ned Rorum's Third Symphony, Fifth Movement, and then write in and tell us.
Yeah.
Are the olives the brass, or
are the artichokes?
is the brass the artichoke? Yeah, that
Very
ridiculous.
important.
One of those two, one of which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to Classical Pairings. Whenever shows open up again, keep an eye out for Rob Funkhouser. Check out robfunkhouser.com. Go to Spoken Steele. Thank you so